Live.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you all for coming. I see some folks from the Tioga County Leadership Program and several other organizations across Tioga County, so thank you for joining us this morning. I will ask for any public comment on agenda items only. All right, hearing none. The minutes for the January 14th meeting.
I'll make a motion for approval.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, I'm going to sneak something in there. Sandra reminded us February 5th was Prosecutors Day. We did not do a proclamation, but we do want to, highlight all Sandra does and the prosecutors in our community do for us. Essentially, prosecutors are the essential guardians of our legal system, working diligently to ensure fair and impartial justice by holding individuals accountable, preventing criminal behavior, and safeguarding the fundamental rights and safety of all citizens. And these dedicated public servants stand as unwavering advocates for victims, amplifying their voices, pursuing meaningful justice, and implementing compassionate strategies to prevent further harm while actively engaging in community-driven initiatives that address the complex underlying factors contributing to criminal behavior. The Tioga County Board of Commissioners deeply recognizes and profoundly appreciates the exceptional commitment of prosecutors who work tirelessly to protect our families, uphold the principles of fairness, and cultivate stronger, more resilient communities. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Personnel items.
Personnel. I'm not Casey. Casey's not with us today. First up are resignations that have been received. Christina DePaula from Family Services, effective January 28th of 2025. Jonathan Perez from Emergency Services, effective January 24th of 2025. Jeremy Clark from Emergency Services, effective February 8th of 2025. And Austin Hendrickson from Tioga County Prison, effective February 21st, 2025. First up for vote is the hire of Samantha Caber, a custodian, at $13.50 per hour with benefits.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Next up is to hire Scott Shutt as part-time dispatcher emergency services at the $33 per hour with no benefits. Scott was a full-time employee for many, many years, recently retired, and he has offered to come back part-time and will keep his current rate.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Next up is to approve the hire of Carmen Halsey, a part-time dispatcher at emergency services, $19 per hour with no benefits. And actually, we can take that with Susan Slocum as well.
Okay.
She's also being hired. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Never
She's
mind.
full-time.
Nathan.
She's full-time, right. We'll just stick with Carmen.
I'll make the motion for Carmen.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is a request to approve Susan Slocum for a full-time dispatcher in training up at emergency services for $19 per hour with benefits.
I'll make the motion for that.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is to approve the hire of Nathan Schugart, a part-time on-call corrections officer at $13.81 per hour with no benefits.
Yep, I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is the preventative maintenance agreement with Cleveland Brothers for the generator and the fire pump at the Tioga County Prison.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second your motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Nope, it's just one of those things that need to be done.
Unfortunately. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Next up is the State Homeland Security Grant Program Agreement for fiscal year 2024.
All right.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All right, further discussion. Is Marty here?
No, she's on the road.
Lisa, is there anything you want to make comment on as far as?
This is an ongoing grant that comes down annually with our North Central Task Force. It opens up some opportunities for us to utilize funding for in-house training here in the county.
Sure. Yeah, $459,000. So thank you for all the work you all have done for that. All right. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is a change order from GR Noto for the Patterson Trailhead Facility for a lighting revision.
All right.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Jen, do you want to kind of give us some background on this?
Sure. Originally, there was one style of lighting chosen, and then it changed to a different style, and then it kind of came out that wasn't going to provide enough light. So this is a revision to that, to lights big enough to actually illuminate the building, but it is still $9,454 under the original contract bid. So even though it went up from the secondary choices, it's still well under what was originally in the contract.
So we had a credit then earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And there won't be any more related to the lights. This will.
No. Nope, that'll be it.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is a 1-year HVAC maintenance agreement with McClure for the 7 tower sites.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Next is a 1-year HVAC preventive maintenance agreement for the 911 center.
I'll make the motion for that.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is, again, another 1-year HVAC preventative maintenance agreement for the Department of Human Services complex.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next up is a proposal from MCM Consulting Group for services to enhance emergency medical services within the county.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Lisa, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So, emergency medical services have struggled over the last many years due to reduction in volunteerism and folks' ability to provide that service, that volunteer service to their communities. This contract will take a look at what are those issues that are ongoing, how can we assist from a county level and from an individual level by department in making sure that the constituents and the residents of the county and the visitors of this county are actually getting a timely response when they have an emergency. Initially, the contract amount was significantly higher than this. We did ask them to reduce that amount, knowing that a lot of the footwork was going to be done in-house by commissioners and by our department, and they made a very significant reduction, which brings it much more into review of what I would say is acceptable.
Yeah, thanks for your guidance on this, Lisa. And it's something that we want to work on is really look at the EMS crisis across the county. We've met with a lot of the associations, especially up in the northern half of the county, and we want to understand the problem and see if there are any solutions. I feel like the more conversations we have locally, the more some departments actually figured out some of the problems. So I think with us going around, meeting with the associations, meeting with the township supervisors, I think a lot of, or at least some of these problems are going to kind of work themselves out because some areas of our community have already figured out how to do it. So again, it's a fact-finding mission to understand the problem because we do have a problem here. Lisa's been working with it for a long time, but it's something we want to highlight and see if we can improve upon. So.
Yeah, and I'd just add to that, this is a kind of a crisis. You don't realize it, a lot of people my age and younger, because we don't necessarily called the ambulance much, so we don't realize it, but we have, an elderly population that uses these services a lot, and a lot of times when they call, maybe no one comes right away, and it's a really, really important part. We heard about this on the campaign trail, all three of us right through, and it's kind of a big juggernaut of a problem. You have a whole bunch of different areas, you have a whole bunch of different personalities, you don't have enough staff, funding it's just, there's all these things that are balled into one big problem that we're trying to unravel. And with MCM's help through the flood and the assistance they gave us, we have trusted partners there, and it just makes sense to help us unravel this and try to figure out the best way forward.
Yeah, they've been great partners for us, and it'll help us just look at the numbers, not look at the emotions. So we can look at the numbers, look at the stats, and look at very analytically, help us decide or
Yep.
recommend options to the township to kind of make sure we're doing the best thing for them. So.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is a 5-year renewal agreement for software support of the software for our security cameras with Johnson Controls. Eric is here.
Eric's here to talk.
I'll make a motion to get it on the table.
I'll second to get it on the table.
All right, discussion. Eric, can you give us?
Yeah, so we have security cameras throughout all of our county facilities. I think we're a little over 450 cameras now across all of the buildings. We've had this Genentech system for 5 years already, and when we went to that, we actually saved, I think, close to $100,000 by switching over from the existing camera system we were using. And this also is a savings compared to that system, so this will keep maintenance on that system for another 5 years.
Okay. Anything else?
And just so this doesn't have to come. This is coming out of Act 13.
Yes. Mhm.
So that makes me feel a little bit better about it. It's just expensive, and I know that, security is a big issue, and, I know, Eric, you guys do a great job. Sheriff, we appreciate, everything that you've helped get in motion here, and if it's coming out of Act 13, it's just tough when it's that big of a bill, to sign off on, but.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is an agreement with Zoom Communications. An upgrade was needed for 2 MDJ courts in the prison.
Yeah.
And that's for that, and that is also going to be paid with Act 13.
Yep, I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up, for our phone system here at the county, we do have a monthly phone bill, but this is for a 4-year support and maintenance agreement with the company.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Eric, can you share with us, how much money we saved when we went to this phone system?
Yeah, so we were with Frontier, and we were paying a lot for landline phones, and we changed over to a VoIP system. We saved a little over $100,000 per year
Okay.
going forward. And this bill here we're actually paying for 3 years and getting a 4th year for free.
Okay.
That I worked out with St. Goma on that.
So other than this maintenance agreement, do we actually have a phone bill for each line? Okay.
Yeah, and that's in the normal budget.
Okay. Okay. But it's significantly lower than
It's
if.
like $1 per phone is what we pay now versus, $40 to $70 per phone
Okay.
before.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is an agreement with SecureWorks for the annual renewal of our cybersecurity system for county systems.
Eric, I think you've been at work the last couple of weeks.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion, Eric, could you go through this just a little bit, what this is?
This prevents so much from coming into the county. We block hundreds of things per day trying to get in, and this is what does that.
Okay. So this is like a filter?
Yeah, this stops a
Firewall?
lot of harmful bad actors from, I mean, we geo-block other countries from even getting to us. so.
Okay. Yeah, and cybersecurity is a real threat, anymore, so thank you for all your work, and we have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is a quote from Eaton for UPS backups for emergency services, the prison and the courthouse.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
A motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Next up is a quote from Alltech Systems for new iStar G2 panels for doors in the courthouse.
I'll make a motion.
I want to hear about this one a little bit.
All right.
Yeah.
Eric, can you share with us?
Eric, this one
I have a lot of stuff at the beginning. of
Yes,
this.
you do, yeah.
Killing us, Eric.
Yeah, so our door systems, that's a security door fob system we have on all of our buildings. Some of these are, 15, 20 plus years old now, and we've been having some problems with some of them. So we've been replacing them slowly, getting rid of the old, putting in the newer systems. That's what both of these iStars are.
Okay.
They can help control the, fob systems.
Okay. So our secure door system, this is the server for our secure door
It's the
system?
panels that control
Oh, okay.
control them,
Okay, I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And we have another proposal from Alltech for doors in the courthouse armory.
I'll make that motion. This is the same. Yep, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is a renewal quote from Marco Technologies to renew our antivirus software.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Eric, I think that's pretty self-explanatory,
Yeah.
but is there anything you want to add to that?
No, we've been using Bitdefender for 6 years prior to this, and it's been great. And also we use it for patch management,
Okay.
which makes sure all our computers are up to date with all the patches that they need.
Sure. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Next up is the Tioga County Partnership for Community Health. They were involved in helping to provide transportation services for those patients who need dialysis service when our local office closed down. So they have submitted an invoice to reimburse them for gas cards and other services that were provided for patients from February through December of last year.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
For way of discussion, when we heard that the dialysis center was shutting down here in Wellsboro, we had some people reach out to the partnership who were concerned about how they were going to get to dialysis in Williamsport, and I believe there was one other location,
Yeah.
but it was significant
Lockheed.
travel. And we took the opportunity to use some Act 13 funding to help them with their travel. We are happy that this is going to be the last invoice since we do have the Dallas Center open again here in Wellsboro. I also want to read a letter from a gentleman that actually just sent this on January 29th. That he was appreciative of our generosity to provide him with gas cards to travel to and from Williamsport. It did not take long for him to realize that traveling from Wellsboro to Williamsport 3 times a week would be as expensive and a huge impact to his budget and gasoline expenses. And essentially he started traveling down there from March until they opened the clinic here in December and traveled an estimated 13,200 miles. So we are thankful that we could help out these individuals in our community that essentially are at need. And I think there was a benefit to that. So.
Yeah, and one thing that's probably out of our wheelhouse to do, honestly, we could have just said, well, we don't need to spend money on this. But this was, when you're confronted with a situation like this, we had a dialysis center that just said, okay, we're going to close. And then we tried to reach out to them, no response at all. And they were like, this is it. So what do? You have people that can't afford to go to dialysis. So we figured, you know, this is, and I just want to say, all this stuff that we're able to do right now is through Act 13. Without that, we wouldn't be able to do that. But this was, I think that this was a really needed service, and we all agreed that this was the right thing to do, is
Yeah.
to get gas cards for these folks so they could.
It wasn't their choice they made to stop
That's right.
going there and go somewhere different. So they were kind of forced situation. They were kind of the victims in that situation. So we're glad we could ease the pain a little bit. It wasn't a perfect fix, but I think it was met well by those folks.
Yep.
So.
All right, thanks. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
And next up, we had a request from the Potter Tioga Library System for a annual request of $100,000 to help support.
Yep, I'll make that motion.
Second the motion.
For a way of public comment, I think we have Leslie.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, could you just give us a brief rundown of, you know, what this $100,000 does, and, you know, how it gets kind of split amongst the libraries here in Tioga County?
Certainly. I'm Leslie Wishard. I'm the system administrator for the Potter Tioga Library System, but I'm also the director of the Green Free. There are 6 libraries here in Tioga County. We do get some state funding that is put into a formula that is split between us. A small portion of it goes to the system, the rest is split. But the state feels that they're just supporting what is given locally. So without this funding, we would not be able to provide the services that we currently do. The system provides, through the funding that I get from, a little bit from the state, a little bit from off the top from you all, like 2 years ago, we started a resource sharing that we have a delivery service that goes to all 6 libraries. That supports and helps all our patrons, because without that, before the patron would have to go, you know, to Blossburg, to Mansfield, to Westfield to get materials. This way, it takes that away from the patron and now goes to us delivering it to them. So every week, they can probably get the materials if they're available. FEMA came, and during the flooding, many of our patrons didn't have internet, they didn't have phone, they didn't have a home. They came to the libraries. We provided that materials. We had physical handouts, we had things online. If they were able to use them online, to be able to even support and put their documents online to get funding if it was available. So we're there. We're one of the few nonprofits that are from birth to grave, because we support everyone in our communities, and we have very active summer programs. Children come, it helps that summer slide because they're not in school. It helps with their literacy. We have programs for teens and adults. Without those, our patrons wouldn't be able to do so much that they do. We have lots of visitors, of course, but our goal is to support people here in Tioga County.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add to that, you know, I kind of got my start on the library board, you know. They just wanted me for buildings and grounds. But I'll tell you, it is amazing, you know, they are the community hubs, you know, and everything that you were saying, from kids programs during the summertime to, you know, older folks in yoga classes,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's just, it's amazing what you guys do. And this is now coming out of Act 13. This is always something that's been out of the general fund, you know, for years and years. But I think that this continued support is, we're trying to put, you know, we're trying our best to keep our eye on the budget and things that we can, you know, fund out of Act 13. You know, we'll do that, but this is one that I'm really proud to vote for.
And I think when you mentioned community hub, you know, I see what Blossburg is doing. I see what they're doing in Elkland and Knoxville. And really, they are a hub for our youth, and I think goes a long way to get them educated, get them familiar with the library system. So I appreciate all the work you guys do, especially in those areas.
Like Knoxville, they're one of the only libraries around that has a museum there.
Yeah.
The grand opening is this weekend, and that is something that we should be very proud of, to have that history. Wellsboro is one of the only libraries around that is now open on a Sunday. Williamsport Library used to. They dropped it because they didn't have the funds. we can still do that. We felt that it was very important to do that to help patrons. They're out, they come after church, they come to the Geminder, they come over to the library. Having some of the libraries have automatic renewals, that has helped. You don't have to come in, they automatically renew. You don't have to come in to collect fines. Most of us dropped all those. So we've changed a lot, and we're trying to make the best situation as we can to help our communities.
Sure.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Next, I would ask for a motion to add an item to the agenda that was mistakenly left out regarding a request that the board received from UPMC for forensic nursing team support.
I'll make a motion to add that to the agenda.
I'll second it.
All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
All right, so here we have a request from UPMC. I believe we have someone here today. Brooke, do you want to make comment on this and kind of, what the ask is, what the SANE group does for our community? And then I think, Sandra, you wanted to make comments on this as well?
Yeah, so UPMC Wellsboro has a forensic nurse team. We take care of victims of violence, and that includes child abuse, elder abuse, sexual assault, and intimate partner violence. We have a program that partners with us to provide services to these victims when they come to the emergency department. We asked for a $20,000 funding to pay for this. It's a 2-year agreement with them. It further improves the traumatic approach, how we take care of these patients, how we support them not only while they're at the hospital, but once they leave. It helps us with yearly trainings, making sure that we remain competent and provide the best trauma-informed care.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your time today. Sandra?
I want to endorse whatever the commissioners can do to keep this program going. It's a program we use in our prosecutions. The forensic nurses have testified any number of times. They don't charge us to come testify, and they come and offer their expertise, and their expertise takes a lot of money to keep updated with the continuing education. So I don't know what we would do without them. It's a program that this community probably doesn't know about until you're in need of services during a traumatic time. And having been a nurse in an emergency room for years, these folks are just a wonderful addition to that program that the emergency nurses provide. So whatever we can do to help them. We talked with, actually, the district attorney's office met with the Penn State folks, which is what Brooke's talking about, who provide the equipment and provide a lot of education. It's a top-notch program. They are very qualified, very good at offering what we need locally to keep our program operating. And I think it would be a huge loss if we could not continue this program.
Sure. All right, thank you both. I think we should probably table this for next month.
Yeah, I think
but
we kind of have to, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Does somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to table it until next month.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Next up, we received a request from, I'm sorry, skipping ahead one. Next up is a resolution R125. It's for signature authority only for on the PA dot letter of authorization.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion, Jen, could you give us a little bit of background on this?
Sure. We received about $150,000 grant from PennDOT to remove 6 railroad crossings that are still in the streets, mostly down on like Jackson Street, Austin Street, also Hillbolt Road. It's a multimodal grant so that it would be easier for pedestrians, bikes, wheelchairs and such to use those roadways. So the county is going to work hand in hand with PennDOT to have these removed.
All right. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we had a request from the Ferry Hose Company for financial assistance towards their live burn training project.
I'll make this motion.
I'll second the motion.
All right, in the way of discussion, I think we have a few folks here. Is there anything you want to share about the facility or the support you're requesting?
Absolutely. You know, over the past several years, it's become increasingly difficult for volunteer firefighters to get the kind of training we need, hands-on training. One of the big classes we do now is a firefighter 1 class, and part of that, at the end, you have to have a live burn to be certified. For us, we have to travel to Bradford County, Lycoming County, Steene County. It takes a lot, you know, just to get everybody together. There's a minimum number of students, instructors, everything. Prairie Hose decided that we'd like to try to do something that would make it easier for our county, Potter County, surrounding areas. So we purchased this, actually ordered. First of all, we applied for a grant from the State Office of Fire Commissioner, and we were lucky enough to get $100,000 awarded for that. So we ordered the building at a cost of $175,500, and we're looking for help, basically, to make it happen. We sent letters out to all the fire departments in Tioga and Potter County looking for help from them. This would help pay for the building. We still have to get the site prepared. You know, we figured it's going to be about another $100,000 plus to get the site ready. But what we're requesting would be assistance from you. It's going to benefit volunteer departments throughout our county and the surrounding counties.
Yeah, thank you for that. And then, again, I want to make sure that we support our volunteer firefighters and all of our volunteer firemen associations and organizations. So thank you for taking this on, and I do believe it'll be a benefit to our community to be able to train our volunteers right here in Tioga County.
Yeah, and with the declining, you know, volunteerism, fire departments, you guys need all the help you can get. Plug to Prairie Hose Company, you know, we got to actually see these guys in action through the flood. You know, they were flooded themselves and all that they did. So, yeah, you guys do a great job. I love the idea of this, having this in our county and getting some of these trainings here. One of the hardest parts is there is so much training that you have to go through. So this is a winner. I think I speak for all three of us that we're in full support of this. We wish we could help you more, but
We appreciate it very much.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Next up is to approve the following county tax real estate refunds listed on your agenda.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is an agreement with Farmington Township. Their tax collector has resigned, and they are asking the county to take on tax collection duty for them for the remainder of 2025.
I'll make this motion.
I'll second the motion.
Josh, can you share with us a little bit of information about this process? You know, when it was started at the county. You know, anything that would help us make a decision.
Yes, so with retirement of the Farmington Township or resignation tax collector, the county will now be collecting for 21 over 39 municipalities. The county started doing this in 2014 with some resignations, and over the years we've taken on more and more municipalities whenever there's a vacancy. The cost savings to the county over the last 11 years is upwards of $3 million. Just over that period, the county changed from a percentage to a per bill collected. Having a central collection agency, you know, we're able to leverage, you know, technology and a lot of efficiencies to reduce costs. On the municipality side, it's an average cost savings of upwards of 70%, having the county collect the taxes. I know the school district had taken on their own collections prior to 2010, again, for the cost savings reductions. So there's still a vacancy in those positions in the municipalities, and the county has just offered to step in and collect in those cases. We've also, over that period of time in 2016, we started sending out, mailing the bills, bulk mailing, pre-sorted. Last year alone, that saved us about $4,700. The county and the municipalities just in postage costs to send those bills out. We've also been able to utilize online payment processing, which again, it's more efficient. So there's a lot of efficiencies that we've been able to realize by collecting the taxes at the county level, but there's still those elected positions out there. In those cases, the county does pay that tax collector the $2.25 per bill collected, so.
If they want, they can revert back, right, and start collecting their own later on.
Yeah,
if
if
they wanted
somebody
to.
runs for the position, we had that with Osceola
Yep.
Township last year. They were paying us $2.25, but now they're paying that tax collector $2.25, and we're paying that tax collector $2.25 per bill collected. So, as far as efficiency, in this day and age with technology and everything, having centralized collections has definitely benefited the county.
I know that this is something when I was mayor in Blossburg that we did. And we would have liked to, our tax collector was great. There was just such a cost savings to us that, we even talked to her and was like, well, can you get close? And it's like, there's no way I can do it for that. So it was just one of those things that just made more fiscal sense.
All right, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is to approve the 25 agreements for the Department of Human Services that are on your agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
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 Next up is January 2025 payroll benefits paid and accounts payable numbers.
I'll make the motion to pay the bills.
I'll second it.
All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are to the point of our agenda for public comment.
I would like to share, I'm sorry, I apologize for my voice. I'm fine.
Can you please
But
state your name? So
I
the
can,
vote-
yep. So I am Sarah Welch from Penn State Extension. I just wanted to come share a little bit of update of what we have going on with 4-H and Master Gardeners
Sure.
and Craig out in the high path avian mix of things. But our Master Gardeners are part of the CCI after school program with the Tioga County Partnership for community health, educating around 100 students in the 4 schools, K through 6th grade, on gardening topics now through the end of the school year. So we've been partnering with them. They were presenters at the Tioga County Conservation District Women in Ag Day back in the fall. And then they have a free they had a free winter sewing project last night with the native plant workshop here in Wellsboro. I didn't hear how many attended yet because it just happened. They also are planning to host the Seed December class again this year. And they're educating every 1st grade classroom in the county on Mr. Yuck program, the poison prevention. I don't know if you all remember the little green stickers. Brings back childhood memories. And then 4-H, they are currently open enrollment for new members through May 1st. So if you have somebody interested in 4-H, please get them signed up. It's a great program. But they also have kickoff night happening on March 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Tokishi Center. This night will provide an opportunity for the community to meet the 4-H clubs in the county and see what will best fit their family. And then also coming up on April 13th from 1 to 4 at the fairgrounds, the Master Gardeners and 4-H are holding a fiber to product event, where this event is a great way to learn firsthand about what you can do with locally grown fiber, while also learning about invasive plants that are toxic to sheep, and then natural dyes for the wool. So
anybody's interested, let us know or call the office and we can get you signed up.
Do you have a digital flyer for that information?
I do, I can send that over.
Yeah, we put our Facebook page and try to promote that for you. So
Yeah,
thanks
for
for coming out.
sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? All right, hearing none, the next meeting of the Tioga County Board of Commissioners is scheduled for March 11th, same time, same place. Commissioner news, do you want to share anything about Blossburg, or
Yeah, so.
is there anything else you want to share?
Yeah, no, so as we all heard, there's some, Ward Foundry, informed their employees that they would be, looking over the next 11 months essentially to sell, and let the employees know that if they don't sell it, then they're gonna have to find other employment. This is something that we have been, it's really been consuming, our time and our minds, and this is a big deal, big deal. 350 jobs or close to it is a hard hit for our whole region, not to mention my hometown of Blossburg, so it is pretty personal. But the good thing is that, through the partners we've made since being in office, I feel confident that at least everybody's pulling on the same rope in the same direction. We've talked to every elected official that we could to help us with this, and everybody feels the pain. Nobody wants to see this go. Everybody wants to see it sell. And, I was, thinking the other day, remember we had a dialysis center that closed. Not, the scale is quite different, but the same thing. The difference is these folks ghosted us. They wouldn't even pick up the phone and talk to us when we tried to talk to them about staying open longer. But what we did is we took care of folks, and we did the next right thing, and now there's a new dialysis center there. So, we can do hard things, right? We can get this done. And it wasn't just us, it was a lot of help from Clint, and all the other elected officials. Again, we called everybody we knew to try to help us with these problems. And unfortunately, we are limited into what we can do. But I'll say it again, any company that is willing to purchase that foundry is not going to have an easier time working with a board of commissioners. We can be good partners to you, so anybody wants to buy a foundry, let us know. But the other part too is that it does sound like there's some interested parties, and hey, you have a really hard-working folks there, that we hear all the time, well, nobody wants to work. Well, I got 350 people to do, so that's something. And not to mention that it's tough to build a foundry, and with the permitting and the expense, we got one for you. So
I think to highlight one of Shane's points is we've been here before with dialysis, with Victaulic.
yeah.
When that closed, there were conversations, and they weren't easy conversations. We were just talking to Clint about it yesterday, and to get that reopened, it took community support, conversations from the Board of Commissioners, from Representative Owlett, Senator Dush at the time. So we're gonna do that same thing. We have the playbook. It is a little different this time around, but we're gonna do all we can as commissioners and with our partners at the state and federal level to shine some light on this issue in our community, and just show everyone how important this facility is to Blossburg and to Tioga County. So I think the only other thing I would like to add is this Thursday evening at 6 p.m. at the Fireman's Annex here in Wellsboro. The Pennsylvania Utility Commission will hold an in-person public input hearing on the proposed merger between Frontier and Verizon. We are working with Clint Owlett to get this information out there and encourage anybody that would like to testify to visit Clint Owlett's Facebook page and get signed up if you have, a bad experience or you have a positive experience with Frontier or Verizon. We are asking that you come out, share your story, and just highlight what we need in our community to improve our phone system in Tioga County. Anything else? All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Thank you. We will move into Tioga County Salary Board meeting. Public comments. All right. We will move to the minutes of January 14th. They are present. It was a busy meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 14th.
I'll second
All right,
it.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, first up, requesting transition of the human services staff listed there to exempt status so that they're more unified with other supervisory staff who are also salaried.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
So back in last July when we transitioned Sam's staff back to the county for children and youth, Sam treats their supervisors as exempt. The county didn't historically recognize supervisors as exempt status, but to keep our department
Kind of
steady
unified.
and unified, we're asking to make them exempt.
All right. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
The next two we could actually take together. Tyler Bells and Carter Strange, both 911 dispatchers, have finished their training and now are certified as full-time telecommunicators. And with that, they would each receive another $1 per hour.
I'll make the motion for both those.
I'll
Oh.
second. Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up, Reva Baldwin, our victim witness coordinator in the district attorney's office. Her annual salary will be increased by that amount. There's an additional grant coming into that office to help support additional responsibilities that she will be taking on.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion from the DA's office?
No, it's 100% grant funded. We applied for the grant this time. It's been available for a lot of years, but we never
That's
took
non-competitive,
advantage
right?
of it. It is a
Yeah.
non-competitive grant, yes. And she'll take on all of the responsibilities for victims when juvenile crimes are committed.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Next up was a request to adjust an hourly rate for Diane Schwartz, who came over to county from SAM Inc.
Yeah, I'd motion to table this, if it's all right with you all. I just want to understand all this and read through some emails, if we can. I'd make a motion to table it.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to table this. Is there any further discussion? I would just like to add that, this is definitely a difficult part of our job is to, weigh the taxpayers' funding to, our biggest resource, which is our employees. So we are struggling with making sure we are responsible with taxpayer money, but we also value our employees. And, that's one thing that when we took office, we take very seriously, both of those things. So we are kind of trying to figure this out. But any further discussion? We have a motion and a second to table. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Next up is to approve a salary increase of 15 cents per hour for all those employees listed. I will make a note that there is one employee, she was hired in January. She is not on this list. Her name is Cassandra Starin. So she would also be included in those list of family services employees.
I'll make this motion.
I'll second.
And by way of discussion, Mary, can you explain, or Sarah?
I can explain. So the way it's worded on your agenda states that it's a salary increase. We're not actually,
this isn't a new request. So to try to help explain this a little bit, this is a part of our needs-based plan. This plan is for 24-25. So Human Services operates on a fiscal year, not a calendar budget. This is our implementation plan. So last July 1st, we were able to implement this plan. And this plan was approved the year prior by the previous Board of Commissioners, sent to the state, worked out. We have communication with the state regarding that plan that we submit. And then the state sends us in the spring, we submit this in the fall, they send us a plan in the spring saying, here is your summary, here's what you're approved. It's essentially our allocation. So we've already asked for this, it's been approved locally, it's been approved by the state. So come July 1st, we're able to implement. Historically, we were not allowed to implement prior to our salary pieces prior to January 1 of the following year. So we're missing out on 6 months worth of allocation towards these salaries. But we implement the rest of our plan. So our housing request for our families under children and youth, we move forward with. Our placement costs, everything that's been allocated in that plan, we are utilizing come July 1st. Salaries are the only thing we've not been able to do that with. Had we implemented this plan, this portion of that approved plan on July 1st, the plan total was $90,000 just for this piece. That would be 20% local match, that's $18,000 had we implemented July 1. Also, had we implemented July 1 with a full complement. We run at least a 30% vacancy rate all year. That ebbs and flows based on staff coming and going. Is primarily driven by our casework vacancies, but we also have support staff who come and go. So then we asked to do this for mid-year, for January 1st, which I see on here, we're looking at effective date of February 23rd. Had we implemented January 1st, we'd be looking at $45,000, which would only be $9,000 local match, again, at full complement, which we are not. So if we move forward with the February 23rd date to implement this 15-cent increase that was already approved, it would be $30,000, less than $6,000 local match. And I want to explain where the 15 cent comes from. So historically, we would find ourselves in a position where our starting wages maybe were lower than neighboring counties. And so we would come and ask the board, can we write for a larger increase? And we would jump our starting wage $1.50, $2. And it was kind of astronomical, and then it throws our budget. And that's more money, that's a harder hit, local match, and even on our allocation. So we started the last several years doing smaller increments each year to starting, and then also current staff to try to keep that balance. Because our turnover is such that if you consistently up the starting wage but don't adjust our current staff, newly hired end up making more than staff who have been here even if it's a year or two. So we started writing just for smaller increments to lessen that blow to the budget. So that's where that 15 cent comes from. We also budget for a COLA, so that if we're granted a COLA, that's already in our budget. That's not additional money that comes out of local match. That portion's already in that budget. So this 15 cents, it's also for all, it probably looks like a lot of people. This is our children and youth plan. So any position that is funded in part or in whole by children and youth funds, this is supposed to be applied to. There were some leadership staff who voluntarily removed themselves from this just to help alleviate that $6,000 or less. So I just wanted to make note of that as well. So I don't want it to look like we're coming and asking for 15 cents. We are simply asking to implement the plan that was already approved for children and youth budget.
All right, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we will adjourn salary board and we're moving to Tioga County Retirement Fund Board. Any public comments? We have the minutes here before us for the January 14th meeting, signed by all.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Janice.
Next up is payment of $2,276 to Corn Ferry for January's actuarial services.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor with aye?
Aye. And next is just for information of the board. Recent retiree information.
All right, we'll adjourn Retirement Fund Board and hand it over to Commissioner Van Loon.
All right, welcome to Tioga County Election Board. Any comments at this time? Yes, Mr. Joy Childs.
Joy Childs, Middlebury. I see that you put the proclamation out there. Thank you very much. I just wondered if that will be updated with the judge and inspector of elections and also the term years for each office.
I'm going to refer to our director for that, please.
It will be updated. The districts have, the boroughs and townships have until the first day of petitioning to finalize everything for the ballots. I've been working with all the boroughs and townships on that process. The election officers will be on there. It is unofficial on the website at this time. There are some changes on there that need to be updated, and that's what we're working on.
Okay, thank you.
And
The
I just want to
terms
say,
on there,
Yeah.
if it is a 6-year term, that is considered a full term. That is
Okay.
not specified, and it never has been on the proclamation. The split terms are what are specified.
Okay.
And that's a 2 or a 4.
Gotcha.
and I want to thank you, Penny, for the work you're doing to draft that, as well as the work you're doing with the townships. Because, look, we get a lot of secretaries that are turned over, so Penny's kind of guiding them to what actually needs to be on the ballot. So thank you for that. I know you're working diligently on that. And if we were able to get this list finalized ahead of petition day, which is next Tuesday, is that right?
Yes.
We'll have the official list published. So
There's a couple of them that I'm just waiting
Yep.
on for finalization.
again, thank you for that. I know that's not an easy task. So
Any other comments at this time? Seeing none, I'll move to the approval of the minutes of January 14th meeting. They're here, signed and reviewed, ready to rock.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
A first and a second, all in favor, vote with aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. If you could outline just the next stuff for us, Penny, to kind of speak about those.
The annual permanent absentee letters have been mailed out to approximately 128 absentee letters, and annual permanent mail-in letters, 4,278. These are the voters of Tioga County that have applied for annual permanent status in the past. And every year, we have to mail those letters out for an annual permanent status for the year if people want the mail-in ballots. The office has been very busy. We have probably about 800 of them that have already been returned in the last couple of weeks. So those have already been processed and ready to go for the next election.
Great. Any questions about that or any comments? All right, under elections section, see, you already did the unofficial proclamation for us, talked about that earlier. Appreciate you doing that. And then, who wants to speak about the grant for a second?
Yeah, the election integrity grant, we received $136,147.03. We have a balance of $68,317.09, and that's what we have until about June to spend.
Okay.
We have used $67,829.94 of that, of the first half. So we will definitely utilize that whole grant, and that's for poll worker pay, polling locations, the printing of our ballots. It covers the U-Hauls, stuff like that.
Yep.
There's certain itemized things that we can use it for, and we will use all of that.
So this helps with costs, but it doesn't cover all the costs of the
Yeah.
county.
It cushions the blow.
In every county, almost all the counties are over the grant funding, but be thankful that we have that.
Yeah, no,
sure.
definitely.
I mean, that's a huge,
Yeah.
we didn't used to get this. We've only gotten this grant the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been a huge amount to bring into my office.
Sure.
Thank you. Listed are the upcoming dates for those who are participating in the election or candidates, whatnot. So make note of those.
In Salem.
Yes.
Monday we are closed.
Monday we are closed, President's Day, so just for everyone's tracking. You can draw petitions on Friday. You can circulate on Tuesday and not before. But you could grab petitions later on if you come on February 28th or March 1st, you can grab them all. They're turned in by March 11th. Pending no issues, you should be good to go there. So plan accordingly. Pending anything else, we'll move to adjourn the Tioga County Elections Board. 11 o'clock. Thank you all for your attendance and participation in the meeting today.
Thanks, guys.